Talmud Bavli, Masechet Brachot, Daf Beis Amud Aleph. We're beginning now the shiurim for the Bez Hashem new program of Amud Yomi Bez Hashem, a new program in Klal Yisrael, starting Brachos Daf Beis Amud Aleph. So the Gemara starts with the mitzvah, the Masechet Brachos, with the mitzvah Kriya Shema. Mitzvah Kriya Shema that has three parashas: Shema, Vayim Shema, Vayomer, Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim. We start the Gemara with the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim, Vayim Shema Ol Mitzvahs, Kabbalas Ol Mitzvahs, Vayomer, the parashas of Tzitzis and Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. There is a discussion in the Achronim, and then to what extent these parashas are deraisa. Certainly the mitzvah of Kriya Shema is deraisa. They're all psukim and they're all parashas in the Torah, but is the chiyuv, to what extent is it deraisa or derabanan? Certainly the first Shema is deraisa, but there is machlekasim to what extent the rest of the parashas are deraisa. Parashat Vayomer has Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim, which is a deraisa as well. So the Mishna starts, when do we begin to recite Kriya Shema? In the evening. So the first mitzvah Kriya Shema discusses the evening one, and when does this mitzvah begin? At what point in the evening? So Zok the Mishna, the commencement is from the time that the Kohanim are permitted to go in and eat their truma. That's when it commences, and it's until the Ashmur Rishayna. The night is divided into different sections, and this is to the end of the first section of the night. We'll see in the Gemara later on what's the significance of these sections, how many they are, but it's till the end of the first section of the night. The beginning, the commencement, is when Kohanim are permitted to go in and eat their truma. What is it referring to? A kohen who is tamei can't eat truma. Truma can only be eaten by a kohen who is tar. A kohen who is tamei cannot eat truma. So if a kohen was tamei, and then he was toivel, he still can't eat the truma until he has herav shemesh, until after tzeisa kochavim, until nightfall. Then he is permitted to eat the truma. So in other words, what the Mishna is saying, when can we commence reciting Kriya Shema at nighttime? We can commence from Tzeis Kachavim, from the time that the stars come out. That is the first time, the beginning of the time that we can recite Kriya Shema. The Gemara will ask, well, why not just say Tzeis Kachavim? Why say it in this roundabout way? So the Gemara will deal with that question. So the commencement is from Tzeis Kachavim. Now, Rabbi Lezer says, but it ends at the end of the first Ashmura. But the Chachamim Moimrim, no, Chachamim Ad Chatzos, you have until midnight. The end time is midnight. Rabbi Gamliel Omer Ad She'el Amud Shachar. Rabbi Gamliel says you have until Amud Shachar. You have until the earliest daybreak. When exactly that is, there's machlekes in the poskim when exactly alois is. There's an earlier zman, a later zman. Is it 72 minutes before the sunrise? Before Netz Chama, is it 90 minutes? Alois shachar, the first rays of the light of the morning. So Ramliel says you have a longer period of time. The end time is a longer period of time. It's until alois shachar. So there's a discussion in Rashi and Taisus and the other Meforshim. If we can only commence saying Kriya Shema, it says, it is common in some areas that in Shul they daven Mariv, and they daven Mariv before Tzeis, and they recite Kriya Shema. Well, it would seem from the Mishnah that that is not a time that you can be Yitzah the mitzvah Kriya Shema, it's before Tzeis. So there's really two issues. Then why are we saying Kriya Shema? In those shuls, why do they say Kriya Shema at that time? And how are they Yitzah the mitzvah Kriya Shema? So Rashi says, and brings down from Yerushalmi, that really they're not Yitzah Kriya Shema. It's too early, it's before it says. But the purpose is that to daven mitayr divrei Torah, that our davening the Shemona Esrei should come after we've said divrei Torah Kriya Shema, and then we daven Shemona Esrei. So it's for the benefit of our Shemona Esrei, of our Marav. the mitzvah of Krishma really has to be done, has to be recited later at Krishma in order to be Yaitse the mitzvah of Krishma. Then there's some issue and discussion of whether one can be Yaitse with Krishma alamita, the mitzvah of Krishma with Krishma alamita. But essentially, Rashi Shita is that Marav at that early time, you are not Yaitse the mitzvah of Krishma. The purpose is to be Yaitse, to be, say, tefillah to daven mitech divrei Torah, and the mitzvah Krishma has to be recited later. Taisus asks many questions on Rashi, and he says that the custom to daven Marav earlier is going with the Shita of Rav Yehuda that said you can start even after Plaga Mincha, which we'll see later on in the Masechta. But according to the opinion that it has to be done, it says, then you cannot daven Marav earlier. So we have a machlokes, not when the mitzvah Krishma starts, not when the commencement is, but how long does it last? When must be completed by? It's either Ashmur Rishona, like Rabbi Lezer says, Chatzois, like the Chomse, Amud Shachar, like Rabbi Gamliel says, and that's the way it would appear as so far. However, let's see, right in the Mishna, there was a Maisa where the children of the sons of Rabbi Lezer came back from a Mishna, and they came back, and Omruloi, they said to their father, Loi Karina, as Shema. They missed the Zman. It was after Chatzos. They came back after Chatzos, and they had not yet recited the Shema. So, is it too late? Have they missed it? Omar Lehem, Im Loi Allah, Amud Shachar, Chayiv Matem Likreis. Rabbi Galil says, if it's not Amud Shachar, you still have the mitzvah. You still have the mitzvah of reciting Krishma. Now, obviously, according to Rabbi Gamliel, they still have the mitzvah Krishma because he holds that the Zman is until Alois HaShachar. But what he's saying is that not only according to me you still have the mitzvah, but even according to the Chachamim, really the Iker mitzvah minatar, the mitzvah is until Alois HaShachar. The Chachamim said Chatzos, they said midnight. What does that mean? It means as follows. It means that this is a takana d'Rabbanan. It's a takana d'Rabbanan that's in order that a person should not miss the time of Krishma, that he should not go too late and miss the Zman. They made a siag, a geder offense. You must recite it earlier, and if you don't, you must recite it earlier, because otherwise we're afraid you're going to miss the mitzvah. So midrabanan, you must recite it by chatzos. And Rabbi Gamliel told his children, and not only in this case is the chatzos asiyag, ela kol mash amru chacham ar chatzos. When we see elsewhere when chacham say chatzos, it doesn't mean that that's a mitzvah deraisa. Mitzvah sanat shel amud shachar. It means really the mitzvah deraisa min atayra is until alois shachar. The chacham made a takana that it must be done by chatzos. For example, Hekter chalavim ve'vorim mitzvah sanat shel amud shachar. When we have a mitzvah of hekter chalavim ve'vorim, when a korban is brought, the korban must be, the zrikas adam, the korban must be brought by day. But if the avorim, the limbs and the fats weren't burnt on the mizbech in the day, you still have the night time to burn them. And menatayra, they can be burnt the whole night. So a mitzvah that's at night is for the whole night. Now the way Rashi learns it is, even by the hekter chalavim ve'vorim, there's not even a mitzvah chatzos. What we're trying to bring out over here is that hekter chalavim ve'vorim, it's a mitzvah that it's at night. Menatayra, it's the whole night. Similarly, the mitzvah krishma at night is at night. It's the whole night. Now, what Rashi is learning is by Krishma, there is a takon of chatzos. Hekter chalavim ve'vorim, there's no takon of chatzos. Other Rishonim learn by hekter chalavim ve'vorim also, just like by Krishma, the mitzvah is at night. It's the whole night minatayra. The Rabbanan said, midrabanan must be chatzos. Similarly, by hekter chalavim ve'vorim. Similarly, and those korbanos where the meat has to be eaten at night, you bring an oshel. The meat is eaten at night and during that day and during the night. There's a chatas. You bring the korban in the day. It's eaten for one day. It can be eaten in the day and in the night. The mitzvah minatayra is the whole night up until the Amud Shachar. So why did they say chatzos? To distance a person from avera, because if you went past chatzos, you'd go too close to Amud Shachar. You go past the Amud Shachar. And you go past the Amud Shachar, and therefore we were afraid that you would miss the mitzvah of Krishma. We're afraid that the meat of the korban would become nicer, so they made a siag, and made a fence, it has to be done by chatzos. So much so that there isn't even a sheet in the Rishonim that's brought down Rabbeinu Yoina that if a person intentionally went past chatzos, the Chacham will mafkia the mitzvah from him. He doesn't even have the mitzvah. It's considered like the mitzvah was not performed. Al kol ponim, the mitzvah Krishma is a deraisa. The mitzvah Krishma in the evening, it starts when Seisach HaChavim. It continues min ha-Torah until Alois HaShachar. Now, that's according to Rabbi Gamliel and to the Chachamim. Rabbi Lezer says it's till the Ashmur Rishon, till the first section of the night. So why does he say to the first section of the night? As we'll see in the Gemara, Machlokes is when it says the mitzvah in the evening is b'shachvacha, is b'shachva kumecha, when you recline, when you're going to sleep. Does it mean the time when you're going to sleep? Then it's only to the first section of the night, because people generally speaking, now again, when we're talking about we don't mean each person individually. We talk about what people generally do. People generally go to sleep. They go to sleep at the earlier part of the night. That's how we define b'shachva according to Rabbi Lezer. Or does b'shachva mean the time that you go to sleep and are sleeping, which is the entire night? Rabbi Gamliel says the Chum hold that it's the entire night min ha-Torah. It's not just when you go to sleep, it's when you're sleeping. But the Chum said that you must do it till chatzos as a getter, as a siyag. So we'll see this machlokes further in the Gemara. What b'shachva means, when you're going to sleep or when you're sleeping. Al Kaponim, we have these three shitas in the Gemara, not when the start time, the Mishna rather, not when the start time, when it commences the mitzvah of Krishma, but how long is the duration when it must be completed by. Let's see the Gemara. What is the Tana referring to? It says, when do we start the mitzvah of Krishma? Well, how do we even know that there is a mitzvah of Krishma? What's the source of the mitzvah of Krishma? The Tana says, when does this mitzvah commence? Well, what is the starting point? What is the source in the Torah for this mitzvah? V'su, another question is, Mishna, the Tana bar v'sareisha, listen to Bereisha. Why does the Mishnah discuss first the mitzvah of Krishma in the evening? Why not the mitzvah of Krishma in the morning? So why should it be in the morning? Why Davka? What is the question really? Why would I think that it should be in the morning more than the evening? So simply one could say that because things generally, the day starts in the morning and that's the order of things, so morning should go first. Taisa says, more than that, when we see that we have a daily mitzvah of bringing the Korban Tomid. The Korban Tomid was brought in Beis HaMikdash. It was a daily mitzvah, one in the morning, one in the evening. And there the Torah discusses the Tomid Shel Shachar first, and then the Tomid Shel Bein Arbaim. So you see the Torah discusses first the morning and then the evening. And over here, we're discussing in the Mishnah the evening first and then the morning. So for the Gemara Tana, the Tana is referring to the pasuk, and in this pasuk we have the source of Krishma, that the parsha of Krishma should be recited in the evening and in the morning. And in the pasuk it says the evening first. So the pasuk discusses the mitzvah, and it says shchiva first. It says evening first. The Mishnah is saying, when is that mitzvah? When does it commence that mitzvah shchiva? Mishasha kohanim nechnosim lechal b'trumhasam. From the time that the kohanim are permitted to go in and eat the truma. If they were tomei and they were tovel, now they can eat the truma from the time of tzeis. Why is evening discussed first? We learn it out from the way the Torah mentions creation. So first mentions evening and then morning. So morning comes after evening. So evening is discussed first. And Tosfos points out, it's really then a machlokes. Do we discuss, generally speaking, do we discuss evening first and then morning? Or do we say, no, generally speaking, it's morning and then evening? According to the first teretz, we would say generally you talk the morning first, discuss the morning first, and then the evening. By Krishma, it's an exception because of this pasuk of b'shachva kumach. The Torah mentions shachva first. According to the second teretz, is yalf mirasa shalayla. Generally speaking, the evening is discussed first. If that's so, well, later we discuss the Birchas Krishma. There's the mitzvah Krishma, there's sign of Krishma. The Rabbanan, we have brachas, we say before Krishma and after Krishma. We say Yetzamoiras, Abarabba, etc. We say brachas before and after. Now there we're discussing, the Mishna discusses the brachas of Krishma. It says in the morning you say 2 brachas before Krishma and 1 bracha after Krishma. And in the evening you make 2 brachas before and 2 brachas after. Now here, over there by brachas, it discusses the morning first and then the evening. Lisnei darvis bereisha. Why doesn't it say the evening first? Now Taisa says that this kasha is only a kasha if you say, according to the second approach, that generally speaking, by here v'voiker, that evening should go first. But according to the first teretz, it's specifically by Krishma because it said v'shoch v'kumecha. So it's not really a question why, regarding other things, even birchas Krishma, why the morning should go first. But upon at least according to the second teretz, why do we say that the morning, the birchas Krishma, the morning, why is that discussed first? The more answers Tana, Pasuk ba'arves, v'hadra Tana b'shachas. The Tana starts off with the mitzvah of Krishma at night. That's the mitzvah of Krishma at night. It starts off first. And then it says the morning. Then the next mitzvah is the mitzvah morning, which is discussed. Now, Alda Koyvashah is already discussing the mitzvah Krishma of Shachris, so it's holding already in the mitzvah Krishma of Shachris. Parish Mila the Shachris, it explains, it elaborates on the mitzvah Krishma Shachris, and it discusses the birchas Krishma Shachris, the other Parish Mila the Arvis, and then it goes back and discusses Arvis. The Mishna says, when is the time of Krishma in the evening? When the Kohanim are able to eat their truma. When is that? In fact, the Gemara, when are they allowed to eat truma? Well, if that's the case, listen to why doesn't it say simply, when is the mitzvah of Krishma at night? Why say in a roundabout way, when the Kohanim are permitted to eat the truma, which happens to be tzeis? Just say tzeis chachavim. The more answers, milsa agavorcha kamashal, and it wants to tell me, incidentally, another halacha. It wants to teach me that Kohanim emes koach l'mitruma mishal seisa kochavim. It wants to teach me, incidentally, that if Kohanim are Tomei, and if they're Tomei with a type of tuma where they have to not only be toiva, where they have to bring a korban as well, if there is a case of a metzayra or a zav, those are cases of mechusri kapara. Now, they are toivel. At the nighttime, they're still considered tomei. They can't eat kachim. They have the next day, they have to bring the korban. Now, to eat kachim, they can't eat the kachim at nighttime. They can only bring it the following day when they bring the korban. But it wants to tell me, this chiddush over here, that even so, that's as far as korbanos kachim are concerned. But as far as truma, when seisu kacham arise, they are allowed to eat the truma. And it wants to teach me that the kapara, bringing the korban, is not ma'ake from eating truma. So it wants to teach me, Kohanim, when can they eat truma? It says, even if they're machusri kapara, even a zav, even a metzayra, he can also eat the truma at seisu kacham. And it tells me, incidentally, Krishma is from the time that Kohanim can eat the truma, Tzeisuk Chavim. But it's telling me also that Kohanim can eat truma at Tzeisuk Chavim, even if they were that type of a truma where they're machusri kapora, they are still permitted to eat it at Tzeisuk Chavim. Kirsanya, Ubo Hashemesh v'toher bia shimsha ma'akvos melechel b'truma ve'in kaparos ma'akva melechel b'truma. It says Ubo Hashemesh v'toher, then the sun will disappear v'toher. So, Pashup Shan V'Torah means the person will become Tohor, but with the drashis we're learning, Ubo Hashem V'Torah, the sun disappears. So what's ma'akivim from eating the truma? Not the complete tahara, not the bringing the korban. It's not the kapara, the bringing of the korban, it's the disappearance of the sun. Seitza kachavim. Once the sun disappears at Seitza kachavim, then he can eat truma. What is ma'akevim, what holds him back from eating truma, is only the disappearance of the sun. Once it says chavim, he can eat, but the bringing of the korban is not ma'akev.